Hi, I'm Tim Travis of Xbox Reviews and Verdicts, and today I'm reviewing Call of Duty Black Ops 2 from Treyarch and Activision. You can't escape it. Every year we are greeted by a new Call of Duty game, a series so simultaneously revered and reviled. Quite frankly, I can't think of anything the internet community seemingly hates more than Call of Duty, with the exception of anti-piracy legislation. This year in 2012, it's Treyarch's turn to release what will inevitably be the best-selling game of the year. The Call of Duty series has taken place in many time periods: World War II, fictional present-day conflicts, and the Vietnam War. So it was inevitable for Call of Duty to take a step into the future. So what's the verdict on Black Ops 2? Let's find out. Black Ops 2 actually takes place in two time periods. The present, 2025, where David Mason, son of Alex Mason, a playable character in the first Black Ops, is interrogating an elderly Frank Woods, another character from the first game, for information regarding internet populist/terrorist Raul Menendez. The other time period the campaign takes place in is the tail end of the Cold War, during flashbacks with Frank Woods. In the flashbacks, which are heavily prevalent during the first half of the game, focus on the rise of Menendez in Cold War hotspots like Angola and Afghanistan. Then of course, during the scenarios in the present, you watch Raul's dastardly plans take effect. The story is, while still a bit confusing, somewhat more if you didn't play the first Black Ops, is far less convoluted than in the first game. If there's one thing I didn't like about the first game, is that you didn't feel like what the title of the game claims you are, a Black Op. I felt like a standard grunt for the vast majority of it. Here there are many times where you are undercover, and in the flashbacks you are in the thick of multiple proxy conflicts. There is one minor disappointment, however. In the first game, we got to meet the most recognizable president of the 60s, JFK. But in this game, we don't get to meet the most influential president of the 80s, Ronald Reagan. Something I thought would be a neat bonus. While I've been hoping a game would explore the morality of proxy wars and the use of drones, this game uses these things more as a theme, as you can't really expect the Call of Duty series to deliver the most mature storytelling. It's really about the explosions and gunfire, which there is a lot of in this game. But there is one new thing that truly stands out from the past few games: player choice. Occasionally you are asked to make a decision, generally involving who lives or dies, or choose to complete Strike Force missions that will impact the outcome of the game. But these choices clash with my personal gaming logic. As someone who's played a few role-playing games, I personally think it makes more sense for all the decisions to be made by a single player character, whereas in this game multiple characters give you certain options. But it's a small complaint. Another series first is allowing you to take what weapons you want to use into the mission, and you can even unlock perks by accomplishing side objectives. But on the whole, the campaign can get extremely irritating, mainly in the writing department. The characters are so crass, obnoxious, and unlikable that it really affected my enjoyment. For example, Woods in the flashback sequences is so nuts that it doesn't make any sense how he would be fit for active service, and he's equally unpleasant as an old man. And your CO, Admiral Briggs, uses the term sucker to an annoying extent, and is an overall insufferable individual, just as bad as the overuse of up-close headshots and throat slitting. I've played lots of gory games on the Xbox, but here it's just too much. The writing overall can get lazy, and if my country's armed forces are as bloodthirsty as some of the characters in this game are, I don't feel safe. Gameplay-wise, as you'd expect, Black Ops 2 stays the course. Guns, whether in the 80s or 2025, feel like Call of Duty firearms, and there is still some variety, like using turrets, drones, or flying around like Batman. But the new mode, the previously mentioned Strike Force missions, seem like an attempt to counter the notion that Call of Duty will always be linear. Strike Force missions put you as the commander of, well, a strike force, generally consisting of either small squads of infantry, drones, turrets, or all of the above. The missions are pretty easy, and at any time you can take control of any unit and do the dirty work yourself. However, the AI is okay at killing things, but aren't so good at following your orders, and infantry aren't that great at taking cover or doing things a soldier would do to stay alive. The developers know your forces are fodder, so they constantly send you more. I've been hoping more shooters would move towards non-linearity, not as the new norm, but as a diversion. The Strike Force missions are far from perfecting that, but it hints at something better. Describing the campaign of Black Ops 2 would otherwise be derivative. There are tons of explosions, bad guys to shoot on your way down a straight path, and the occasional sense of variety. But all in all, I haven't been impressed by a Call of Duty campaign since the second Modern Warfare, and that hasn't stopped here. And the foul characters oftentimes lowered my amusement level dramatically. The bottom line is, Activision at this point needs to find a new way to impress people, and not with more expensive set pieces and pointlessly edgy characters.
If that sucker gets a beat on you, you can run, but you'll die tired.
Oh, who am I kidding? You want me to talk about multiplayer, the real reason why you either love or hate the Call of Duty series so much. The biggest changes have been made to the Create a Class system, which has been overhauled with the new Pick 10 system. Instead of picking guns, equipment, and perks in a static manner, you can, well, pick any 10 items, and ignore things you don't want. If you want to be a basic multiplayer grunt, choose an assault rifle with 2 attachments and the basic selection of perks and equipment. But that would mean ignoring the possibilities by exploring wildcards, which allow you to do things like take a second perk in the same class, use 3 attachments at the same time, or take in a second primary weapon. The system is genius in that if you pick a wildcard, you not only have to use a token on that wildcard, but also use a second to make that wildcard effective, which will mitigate potentially overpowered builds. It's easily the most flexible shooter loadout creator I've ever seen, so much so that you can even choose to ignore taking any firearm at all into the fray, solely relying on your knife, perks, and weapons you scavenge on the battlefield. The kill streak system has been changed as well, now dubbed score streaks. Obviously they are based on points earned in objective game types or killing enemies in any mode. There are a host of new awards, as Treyarch has the flexibility to create ones that could supposedly exist in the near future. However, you can't allocate sets of awards to individual classes like you could in Modern Warfare 3, and the concept of strike packages has been ousted, so no more support strike package with point streaks that pervade after death. The balancing seems pretty damn good. Even potentially overpowered attachments like the target finder are mitigated by hindering your visibility, and many perks have been re-engineered as attachments. There are a few things I don't like. I personally felt strike packages in Modern Warfare 3 were fine, and if there were balancing issues, they should have refined them rather than oust them. And I feel like it takes a little longer than it used to get a UAV, and the select fire attachment should have been a feature that's on all guns. But easily worse is the player base. Since there are hundreds of thousands of people playing this, it's understandable to expect there to be a bigger diversity of skill levels, whereas for a few days after launch, my games looked like this. The community has gotten a lot better, and I've played many games in a row where I just get my ass handed to me before I get into a match where I can keep up, which is strange because I was really able to hold my own in the last Black Ops. Probably over time, the better players will be at a high enough rank so newer players can likely bypass the more experienced ones, but it's nonetheless something newcomers should be aware of. Still, Call of Duty might not have the sprawling war zones of Battlefield, gut-wrenching intensity of Gears of War, or pitch-perfect balancing of Halo, but Black Ops 2 is still a fast-paced multiplayer shooter that constantly gives you awards. Even more so this time around, and that's what makes this series so popular. Zombies co-op modes have been in Treyarch Call of Duty games since 2008, but this time they've gone a ways to make it feel less like an extra and more like a full-fledged mode. It's unlocked right when you boot up the game, and the mechanics feel a bit better than they were in the last installment of Zombies. However, the structure is heavily different than it was before with the new Transit mode. That's Transit with a Z. Get it?
Welcome aboard!
Treyarch has said this mode has the largest zombie map the series has seen, and they are partially right. It's not so much one sprawling map, but 4 smaller ones connected by a bus. This makes it feel different, but it comes at a huge cost. Each individual location is nowhere near as cool as those in the last 2 Treyarch games, and the bus is more annoying than anything. When it honks its horn, it's time to go to the next area, but I found that in single player, it has the attention span of a goldfish, and will leave you behind if you're not careful, and there's no way to control its departure intervals. I've played many wave-based survival modes, Gears of War's Horde, Halo's Firefight, and MW3's Spec Ops survival mode, but those can be downright addictive even when played alone or with strangers. Here, I felt like I needed a friend who I can communicate with effectively to have a consistently enjoyable experience. This is strange because I didn't have this problem with World at War's Nazi Zombies or the last iteration of Black Ops.
Hurry it up, we only got one shot at this.
No matter what mode you're in, Black Ops 2 looks really good, especially compared to the last Black Ops, which had a far less appealing look than other games I was playing at the time. Technically and artistically, this is a step up, and of course it's hard to beat COD's signature 60 frames per second, but I found the sound design to be a bit less than that standard. I've heard better weapon sound effects in the Modern Warfare series, and Treyarch pulled off the impressive feat of making a 50 caliber sniper rifle sound underpowered. There's a good chance that you've come to Black Ops 2 strictly for the multiplayer, but that can't excuse issues I have with the entire package. The campaign, despite all its best efforts to differentiate itself from past installments, feels derivative and comes with some obnoxious writing. Zombies feel somewhat sleepy compared to the Nazi zombies of the past, but the competitive multiplayer can still be a lot of fun, even though we're just playing a further refined version of something many people buy every year for the past half decade. It might be catering more to hardcore fans, but the gameplay is still fast and fluid, comes with solid graphics, and I can even say I destroyed a Soviet tank with a shoulder-mounted rocket launcher while on horseback, which definitely counts for something. Thanks for watching this review. Please subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, follow the blog, and check out the Facebook page. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy my future videos.